Welcome to the Live Scout Show. Coming at you from the Okojo Frontier Studios on the Missouri-Kansas border in small-town rural America, where we come to let all of you know that us flyover state people, us farmers, us ranchers are just everyday people trying to live our lives here in the Midwest. Well, we are watching the world. And what a mad world it is right now. I really should call this episode, It's Mad World 2. Because as I speak, they have just started wrapping up on the shooting out in California, Northern California, San Francisco Bay Area, I understand it, at the YouTube. And there are so many rumors flying, who can keep up with it? How crazy is all this? Supposedly it's a female shooter. Then you hear a little while later it's a male shooter. Then you hear it's a dark-skinned shooter. Then you hear it's a light-skinned shooter. Then you hear that it's a transgender that went in and shot two lesbians. So who the hell knows what's going on out there in California? But I guarantee you, YouTube is a gun-safe zone. So see there once again. What makes an easy target? How sad all this is. Well, we'll see how it all plays out in the future. But oh man, who can believe it? And so much other things going on. It's like, what do you even talk about anymore? What do you even try to say about anything? There's just so much of it. Heck, who can even keep up with it anymore? But if you caught my last story, the last Scout Show about the hordes of immigrants from the Honduras headed north, well, the president did respond today, and this comes from military.com. Trump wants military to secure border with Mexico. President Donald J. Trump said Tuesday he wants to use the military to secure the U.S.-Mexico border until his promised border wall is built. Speaking at a lunch with Baltic leaders, Trump said he's already discussed the idea with Defense Secretary Jim Mattis. "We're going to be guarding our border with the military," Trump said, calling the measure a big step. Trump has been deeply frustrated about the lack of progress building what was a signature promise of his campaign, a big, beautiful wall along the Mexican border. He previously suggested using the Pentagon's budget to pay for building the wall, arguing it is a national security priority despite strict rules that prohibit spending that's not authorized by Congress. The Department of Homeland Security, Pentagon, and White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment on how such a plan might work. Trump's announcement came a day administration officials said they're crafting a new legislative package aimed at closing immigration loopholes. Trump has called on Republican lawmakers to immediately pass the border bill using the nuclear option, if necessary, to muscle through it. Well, yeah, I say go for the nuclear option because, Harry Reid and the Democrats, when they had control, they exercised the use of the nuclear option. They're the ones that changed the rules. They're the ones that wanted to win so bad that, hey, they've set themselves up. So I got no problem with using the nuclear option on this. I mean, they're going to use it on us in the future if when they gain control again. They will eventually. It's only a matter of time. They'll repackage themselves, come back looking like something else that they're not. But in the meantime, if we have two terms with President Trump, then let's go ahead and just use the nuclear option and get things done that we need to get done to make America great again. Continuing on with the article, the big caravan of people from Honduras now coming across Mexico and heading to our weak laws border had better be stopped before it gets there. Cash cow NAFTA is in play, as is foreign aid to Honduras and the countries that allow this to happen. Congress must act now, Trump tweeted at daybreak Tuesday. The president also tweeted about caravans on Sunday and Monday. The president has been tweeting about immigration and the border for the last few days, declaring protections for so-called dreamer immigrants dead, accusing Democrats of allowing open borders, drugs, and crime, and warning Mexico to halt the passage of caravans of immigrants or risk losing U.S. support, and they will abandon the Northern American Free Trade. I really screwed that one up. Let me back up in just a minute. Let me start at the very beginning of this. I am so sorry about that. The president had been tweeting about immigration and the border for the last few days, declaring protections for so-called dreamer immigrants dead, accusing Democrats of allowing open borders, drugs, and crime, and warning Mexico to halt the message of caravans of immigrants or risk U.S. abandonment of the North American Free Trade Agreement. Boy, I screwed that one up. Continuing on, Trump has been seething since realizing the major spending bill he signed last month barely funds the big, beautiful border while he has promised supporters. The $1.3 trillion funding package included $1.6 billion in border wall spending, but much of that money can be used only to repair existing segments, not to build new sections. Among the new measures, the administration is pursuing ending special safeguards that prevent the immediate deportation of children arrested at the border and traveling alone. Under current law, unaccompanied children from countries that don't border the U.S. are turned over to the Department of Health and Human Services and undergo often lengthy deportation proceedings before an immigration judge instead of being deported. The proposals appear the same as those included on an immigration wish list in the White House released in October, but failed to gain traction during negotiations over the border wall. Such proposals are likely to face opposition from moderate Republicans and Democrats going into the midterm elections, but Trump appears intent on ensuring the issues remain at the forefront of public conversation, even though the spending bill was widely seen as the last major legislation likely passed this year. Trump's past calls for the nuclear option, changing Senate rules so that a simple majority of 51 votes is needed to advance legislation instead of the current 60 votes, have been dismissed by Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. McConnell says Republicans will welcome the 60-vote margin if they return to the minority. The current 51-49 Senate split favors Republicans. Trump announced last year that he was ending the program that protects young dreamer immigrants, but the Department of Homeland Security is continuing to issue renewals because of a court order. Notably, his favored solution for extending protections to them mustered only 39 votes in the Senate, meaning it couldn't have passed even if the rules had been changed. Trump's tweets calling on Mexico to halt caravans followed a Fox and Friends report Sunday that featured the leader of the union representing Border Patrol agents, predicting that those in the caravan would create havoc and chaos in the U.S. as they wait for immigration reform. About 1,100 migrants, many from Honduras, have been marching along roadsides and train tracks in the southern Mexican state of Oaxaca. These stations of the cross migrant caravans have been held in southern Mexico for at least 5 years. They began as short processions of migrants, some dressed in biblical garb and carrying crosses as an Easter season protest against attacks against Central Americans as they cross Mexico. Individuals in the caravans often try to reach the U.S. border, but usually not as part of the caravan. The caravans typically don't proceed much further north than the Gulf Coast state of Veracruz. The current march is scheduled to end this month with a public conference on migration issues in the central Mexican state of Puebla. So, yeah, there you have it. What choice does President Trump have? He's going to have to use the military. I agree wholeheartedly with him. How could you not agree with him if you're a patriot? I mean, for God's sakes, President Trump really has always had a wall. He really has. It's called the U.S. military. You've got the National Guard. You've got the Air National Guard in Texas, like I discussed in the last show. In addition, Texas also has the Texas Guard, which are a viable military force that are not under the auspices of any federalization. They are totally under the control of the Texas governor to use as he feels and deems as necessary. So what about Arizona? What about New Mexico? In Arizona, you've got the 850th Military Police Battalion that is committed to Guantanamo Bay. They're in their 4th month of a 9-month deployment. So I'm not sure what the number is. I think it's like maybe 50. But, you know, you've got those guys from Arizona Army National Guard deployed to Guantanamo doing their duty. They're going to be there for 5 more months. Are they going to bring them back? I hope they do, to deal with what's coming up from the South. You know, the thing in the Alamo, it's a myth in the John Wayne Alamo that Colonel Travis took his sword and drew a line in the sand. Okay, it's a myth, but it makes for a great story. It makes for inspiration. It is one of those things that is a lesson to where we all have to make a decision. And right now, President Trump's making a decision if he sends the military, which I'm sure he's going to send the military, to the border. And there's many ways to do it. So basically what Trump has done is become, you know, an offshoot of the myth of Colonel Travis, Colonel William Barrett Travis at the Alamo, and drawn a line in the sand. Send the military down to the border, because we all know, we're very well, that there are people down there, citizens, American citizens, that will join together and defend the border themselves if they have to. The problem is we don't want to have any violence down there if we can avoid it, but by God, you're bringing it to our front door. And what do you think's going to happen in a situation like that? I mean, the Democrats have abandoned DACA. They've used them as pawns. Those that are coming up from the South, they headed to the United States border. They're just pawns of Soros and the globalists and the neocons and the New World Order. There's no conspiracy theory here. Hell, this is what's going on, and the evidence is out there. You just got to go investigate it and check it out yourself. Make America great again. Protect our borders. Keep us safe. It's time. It is doggone dang time for it to happen. And if you don't think it is, if you want open borders, then get the hell out. I'm sorry. Why are you even here? Because if you open up the borders, everything in your life's going to change, and you really don't want to be a socialist like in Venezuela. You could not survive as a Venezuelan citizen right now, and you don't want to be that. You don't want to be under totalist communist rule. You don't want that either. You think you do. You know, it's all great, you know, and you guys sit there and smoke your bongs and all that other stuff and, you know, take your ecstasy or whatever and think the world's a beautiful place when, well, yeah, the world is a beautiful place, but there is a reality to the world, too, that you guys just totally ignore, and all of you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, well, I tell you what, I am going to go ahead and take a quick break, and I shall be right back.
My name is Ronald Reagan. Last year, the contributions of 16 million Americans to the crusade for freedom made possible the World Freedom Bell, symbol of hope and freedom to the communist-dominated peoples of Eastern Europe, and built this powerful 135,000-watt Radio Free Europe transmitter in Western Germany. This station daily pierces the Iron Curtain with the truth, answering the lies of the Kremlin and bringing a message of hope to millions trapped behind the Iron Curtain. Grateful letters from listeners smuggled past the secret police express thanks to Radio Free Europe for identifying communist quislings and informers by name. General Lucius D. Clay now asks all Americans to join with him in a second great crusade for freedom, to build 2 more powerful freedom stations that will send more messages of truth and hope through the Iron Curtain, and to establish Radio Free Asia to stop the spread of communism in the Far East. The crusade for freedom is your chance and mine to fight communism. Join now by sending your contributions to General Clay, Crusade for Freedom, Empire State Building, New York City. Or join in your local community.
And the Last Scout Show is back. I am your host, the Last Scout. So, are we ready for a war on the border? Really? And, you know, back in 1916, you had General Pershing lead American troops into Mexico looking for Pancho Villa and other outlaws. You had all that going on. I mean, I don't see why we should let this stop us if we have to. I mean, I want to hold it at our border, right at our border. I want to keep it where it is. I don't want any expansions. I don't want any more territory for America to be responsible for right now. But the military down at the border is a big deal. Is a really, really big deal. And I'm glad to see that President Trump is addressing the situation. You know, for 8 years prior to the Trump administration taking office, oh my God, it was so hard. People don't even realize, you know, I mean, and when I say people don't realize, a lot of people are learning right now what's been going on. A lot of people have known it for a lot of years. And those that just absolutely on the left that stay on the backside of Obama and put him up there, and Clinton, and which literally kind of seems like Clinton's fallen off to the wayside, you know. I guess for her, talk's gotten cheap, because I heard that she is given an address at Rutgers, and they're only paying her $25,000. I know, that's, to me, you and me, that's a lot of money. I get it. But to her, used to 6-digit figures for speaking engagements. Boy, that's a big letdown, especially when you find out that somebody else that spoke at Rutgers, that's, what's that person's name? Snooki from Jersey Shore, or whatever that reality show is, got paid $36,000 to do the same thing at Rutgers. Wow. HRC, I'm sorry, but just don't seem like your word's worth much of anything anymore. And I just want to sit down with you and look at you and go, what happened? No, really, I don't want to sit down with you and ask you what happened, because we know what happened, and HRC, you have no clue what happened. No clue what happened. Well, be sure and check out around the internet stories, other channels. When I'm not here at the Last Scout Show, you can find me at We the People Patriot Soapbox 24-hour live stream on YouTube. Yep, that's right. I'm on there live several times. Also moderate. Come in and say hello. Get to know what We the People is about, because it is about grassroots people that are trying to bring patriots back into the light. That's right, patriots back into the light. To know that it's okay to be an American, to know that it's okay to support the military, to know that it is okay to support the United States Constitution of the United States, to know that it is okay to own a gun if you're legal. Come on over. We the People, Patriot Soapbox, 24/7 live stream on YouTube. Also, be sure and check out a guy from New York, a young man, 33 years old. that has some of the best political, social commentary you can imagine and is always a lot of fun. And that is, quite frankly. And do not forget about the Lady of Investigation of YouTube, Tracy Beans. You go to my YouTube channel page, you look at the front, down to the right, down a little bit, you'll see Last Scout's Choices. You'll see 3 links to all 3 of those places. Oh yeah, get out there, America, educate yourself. Let's do it. We are bad to the bone, without a doubt. This is the Last Scout, for the Last Scout Show, coming at you from the Okeechobee Frontier Studios on the Missouri-Kansas border in small-town rural America. Take care. We'll catch you next time. God bless.